This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Hello, and welcome to Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, the Dream Coach. This is a show where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams, and how you can use them to make the internal shift to a life you love. Well, on Dream Power Radio, we spend a lot of time talking about how dreams and other modalities help bring out our inner beauty. But truth be told, while that is great and what we should aspire to, how we physically present ourselves to the world is just as important. I mean, you can be the most giving, angelic person in the world, but people are never going to see that if you look like a hot mess. So how do we find our inner beauty, especially when the bloom of our youth has faded? Well, let's ask an expert. Joy Ruffen is a signature style specialist who's all about inspiring women in their second act, promote an image that fits their personality and lifestyle. And she's the host of the Leading Ladies Living Legacy show. Welcome to Dream Power Radio, Joy.
Oh, Debbie, it's so good to be with you. And what a wonderful introduction. I love the way you parlayed into what we're going to be talking about. Yes, indeed. Great to be with you.
It is my pleasure to have you because I love to talk about this because, like I said, it's not just about our inner selves. I mean, the world is the world, and the world sees us for what they see us as a first impression.
Right.
So tell me, how do you define style?
Oh, what a question. Well, it took me quite a while to come to understand and to know the difference between fashion and style, because my background is in the fashion industry, which I love, but yet somehow, somewhere, many of us women, especially those of us who are in our second act, regardless of age, we've gone over to the dark side because fashion is very fickle and style is very individual, and it brings out the inner you, the inner glow. It helps you to project the core, the essence of who you are. That's how I define it.
Oh, wonderful. So tell me, what's the biggest mistake women make with their wardrobes?
There are several, but I feel that probably from what I have seen and witnessed is that the biggest mistake is that we, as we mature, when you're young, Debbie, you can get away with any, every, and all. You can wear everything. You can. But as we age and that body begins to go through its transformation, good, I don't like bad and indifferent, but it changes. And then we have to change with it. And what happens for too many women is that they don't know, because they weren't taught, I wasn't, how to dress that best showcases their body shape. And that's the biggest mistake. You see women who are wearing just the wrong styles for their body shape. Body shape is the beginning seed of where we start with style.
So how would you figure out your body shape if you really aren't quite sure, and especially if it's changed over the years?
Good question.
I know mine has.
Well, the change over the years happens for all of us. Trust me, we know this. But yet, for body shapes, there are 5 major body shapes. And there is a way that we can discover that. But for now, I'm just going to list them for you, and you can kind of visualize what they might be. We have the apple. We have the pear. We have the hourglass. We have the rectangular, and we have the inverted triangular. Now, if you kind of really give it some thought, you can kind of visualize what those body shapes are. And a prime example I like to give, because people can visually see things, we talk about the apple shape. Well, Debbie, how many different apples are there? One apple could be 5'5", another apple could be 6'4", like my aunt, and yet they can't wear the same thing. And this is a mistake big time. And even now that they're beginning to inroad into body shapes in the fashion industry, it's not well defined enough. You have to really get to know your body. If you like fashion, if you like style, and you want to have your own individual style, you have to know your body shape. That's your beginning. And you measure and you find out, and we have all of that in place.
Yeah, for a second, you mentioned something I was going to ask you about, and that's height. Because I am what you might politely call short-statured. And things that might look good on me are not going to look good on a really tall person and vice versa.
Yes.
So when you say you have the body shape, how do you adjust for height?
Debbie, you and I are going to have a good time here. I have something that I have developed, and I call it the Joy Code. And your question would be answered in the Joy Code. And that Joy Code has to do with balance, harmony, and grace. Now, what does that mean? Well, you asked me about your height, your size, and so on. Balance has to do with proportion, scale, and fit. So that's why if you're considered average or short, and someone else is considered tall and taller, then you're not going to be able to wear the same thing. But you have to know that. So the proportion, the scale, and the fit of the outfits that you're wearing, they have to fit you. And that's why with all the different body shapes, the scale, the proportion, and the fit has to be unique to you. And that you learn. We're not taught this in school. And our mothers, maybe yours, Debbie, I don't know mine, she put a dress or something across the top and said, oh, that looks okay, boom. And that it was new, it was popular, it was pretty, it was trendy. You bought it and you wore it. And when you're young, you can do that, but not when you began to go through your life transitions. And they all happen. It happens to all of us. So that would be the difference.
Yeah, it's funny. I come from a clothing background in terms of my grandfather had a shirt manufacturing factory, and then my uncles and even my father were producing clothing. My uncle actually was producing dresses, but my mother grew up in fashion mode because of that background, and she was always considered very fashionable. Even if she couldn't afford to get a lot of clothes, she got a few very good good quality items in her wardrobe. But I kind of felt like the fashion gene skipped a generation, because my daughter is also fashion oriented. In fact, I see that you went to FIT, she went to FIT.
Yes.
So the fashion gene for me, I think it skipped a generation, because, for
I don't think so.
Parts of my life, I really didn't care. When you're young, you don't care. And for most of my youth, I was wearing jeans all the time, or for work. I mean, I had a few work outfits, and that was kind of it. But I would, like most everybody else, flip through the fashion magazines and say, oh, that looks nice, and that looks nice.
We all did.
Is there an age, though, where we should stop looking at the fashion magazines?
No, never stop looking. Never stop looking. What you need to do, not you, Debbie, but all of us, myself included, many moons ago until I had my awakening, we need to really get in tune and in sync with our bodies. And you also broached on a couple of other things. Some women really aren't interested in fashion. They don't care, but they do care about being always on point with whatever it is that they're doing. That's why casual has taken over and gone over to the dark side. So no, you don't stop looking at fashion magazines, but it's like also shopping online. You can be caught up in the bubble. You can get caught up in that bubble and start drinking the Kool-Aid and running through that maze, and you can't get out. What you have to do, and what I'm working with women who are in leadership, entrepreneurial, corporate business women, I'm presenting to them a way to erase that struggle of styling themselves and spending way too much money. So what I'm doing is supporting them in the discovery and the uncovering of their body shape and what works best for them. And then we go into their fashion preference, style, and their color palette, and so much more. But we are not taught these things. We're just taught pretty, popular, new, trendy, fashionable. We got to have it because we're emotional We're women and we like pretty things. But when it comes to style, it's much more than that. And that's what I'm teaching.
Wonderful. I want to talk about women in the corporate world because they do have to present an image, but is it by definition I don't want to say manly, I guess it's really the wrong word, but can they look feminine and project a sense of power at the same time?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, you and I could be talking forever and ever and ever. My key word is professional people. And professional people, it does not mean that you can be casual and not be professional. You can be still casual and professional. And I am all for women's empowerment. That said, the women's lib and the women's movement, which Gloria started a long time ago, I'm all in connection with that. Yet, something went awry there. Women can be professionals in the corporate world, in the business world, and entrepreneurial, and still dress like a professional, be feminine, and look great. It doesn't have to be short, tight, and revealing. It has to fit your body where people look to you with high regard and respect. And you can have all the different styles and still project that. It's knowing how and how you do that and still stay professional. It's an art. It's a dance. It's a key, but you can have it. That's for sure.
So you specialize in helping people find their style. So when someone comes to you for advice, where do you start?
I start with asking them to help me in the discovery of their bodies. First, we determine their body shape. And then I'm asking them, what parts of your body are you absolutely mad for, that you love, that you want to have as a part of your signature style? And what parts of your body do you want to conceal and somewhat make sure that it's covered in a way because it's not a part of your body that you're absolutely ecstatic over? Because we all have that, Debbie. We all have it. There are parts of our bodies that we're absolutely ape about, and there are others that we say, ugh, And whatever that is, we start there. And then we determine what body shape, garments, outfits are best suited for their bodies. And we can never, ever forget, and I say we because there's a tribe of people around me, we can never forget their fashion personality. Personality counts a lot because maybe they're more of an introvert than an extrovert. They don't like dramatic, bold things. And then we got to really connect to their lifestyle, their successful lifestyle, 99.9% of the time. Those elements and what they're doing and their work all plays into the fashion style, the signature style that they want to project in the corporate business world. I like business world better than corporate. Because you can be a business person, you don't have to be in the corporate world.
This is true. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, it's not
exactly.
You're just doing it and you just want to present your best self out there.
There you go.
Yeah. And then, it's so true because depending on this type of clothing that you pick out, you can hide what you might call your body flaws or the part of your body you don't want to emphasize. I'm going to say body flaw, but you don't want to emphasize. And you want to emphasize the parts that you really like a lot. So can you just give me an example of, let's say, somebody maybe who has big hips and wants to minimize that? What
that would be I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. That would be a pear shape. But let me just say this to you. You mentioned a word there earlier in context of sharing something with the audience. Bottom line, it's always about quality. And quality doesn't have to be the highest priced item in a shop or store or boutique, wherever you're shopping. But quality is another item when it comes to women who are in their second chapter, second act, regardless of age. We talk a lot about quality and fabrics. But back to your question, if someone, let's say, is a pear shape, which means that you're hippie, thighs, then you don't want to the sad thing, and I say sad because this is somewhat of a movement that I'm involved with. The sad thing is that for now, it seems that behinds, derrieres, the backside, and there are many other words that we could use. It seems to be a pivotal point for women to showcase. And it's really sad because not many women out there are looking like J-Lo. Now, J-Lo works out 2 or 3 hours every day. I heard her say that on television. And J-Lo is J-Lo. God bless her. I love her. Yet, you and I are not J-Lo. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to the gym every day. And the backside is not the side that I want to project. So you have to learn to wear clothes, if you care, and hopefully you do, that project your entire body and showcase your hips in a very attractive way. And the leggings, jeggings, and tights that so many women are running around, that's not doing it. And I don't know if anybody's going to speak up outside of me, but I think it's time. So there's a way that you can dress a woman who has large hips and a derriere that will showcase her and give her the style that she needs. Definitely.
Okay, well, we're going to talk more about this, but we're going to take a short break now. Okay. We're speaking all about style with Joy Ruffen, and we'll be right back.
When is a car not a car?
When it shows up in your dreams. Cars are one of the most common dream symbols. If you don't know why you're dreaming about cars or any image, it can leave you confused or scared. But that dream could be a solution to a pressing problem, or an insight into a solution that's been bugging you for years. Go to my website and sign up for a complimentary discovery session, and I'll help you understand why a dream is a terrible thing to waste.
Go to thedreamcoach.net for more information.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Yes, welcome back to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, and we're talking all about style for the second act of your life with stylist Joy Ruffen. Joy, one other thing that's also a factor when it comes to picking out what clothes are right for you is skin color. So can you talk to me a little bit about that and how that plays into fashion?
I think that's an important factor, but not as much as people think. That relates and ties in more to makeup. When it comes to fashion, we talk more about a color palette that will accentuate your skin tone best. And so we have 4. And you can have it either in the seasons or in jewelry. So we can talk about winter, spring, autumn, or summer. And then depending on the person, that palette will fit that person. And there are many different ranges of colors that you need to wear. And I think a lot of us, myself included, had no clue many moons ago about what was the best color palette for me. So that's more important. Makeup and skin tone and all of that we go into. But before you even go there, you have to know what your color palette is that will help you to showcase and shine the best and glow.
Okay, so when you're working with somebody and you're in the process of assembling a wardrobe for them, do you stay with certain colors and fabrics, or can you mix it up, or which is better, to just have a whole variety of different things and different colors, or just to stay in one color?
Well, that depends on the individual. Debbie, it really is contingent upon the person and what style they're in. Now, we have 5 major style categories. And so contingent upon which is your main, that's where we focus, that's where we stay. And just as an example, we have the classic, which is still the number one style all over the world, no matter what ethnic group, culture, whatever. And then we have natural, sporty, one and the same, super casual. We have chic, we have romantic, and then we have dramatic. Now, most women, Debbie, are going to fit one major category, but they might have one other sub and maybe 2, not more than that, because then it gets to be, I love Iris Apfel, love her, but how many Iris Apfels can we have? This means that she loves everything that's big and bold and wonderfully crazy, but that's her and that's her style, but that's not for everyone. So you have to first determine, which I will help you to do, what your preference is in style. What category do you fit in? And then we work around developing and assembling a wardrobe for you that's in that category. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does answer it. Now I want to ask you this, though. Let's say that you don't have a lot of money to spend on clothes. Are there some musts that every woman should have in her wardrobe?
Great question. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about signature style or having style, not being a fashionista, that's a whole different ballgame, is that you have to have a lot of money. And that is so wrong. You can be very, very stylish and walk into a room and own that room, walking out of Walmart, JCPenney, and any other Steinmart. And I'm not knocking these stores because I think most women shop there. But once you know quality and you know value and you know your color palette and your body shape, you can assemble a wardrobe that would put somebody who has millions of dollars to shame. So it's not about the money. It's about knowing your style and knowing what works best for you and knowing a lot about fabrics. Because a lot of the lower end stores have fabrics that you wear them once and they're gone. So you'll learn to decipher what those are and to stay away from them. But it's not about the money. It's about the knowing.
So what would be a good, not tremendously expensive fabric to look for in a piece of clothing?
Well, I don't know if it's so much the fabric. Today, all of us are so fortunate. Back in the day, I'm old school back in the day and all of that, and happy that I am, and somewhat old fashioned, but also loving the new. But I can say to you that when it comes to knowing the fabrics, you just have to know which ones are going to work best for you. And you can only know that by getting to know fabrics and attempting to try and experiment a wee bit. If you sit down in something, you get up and it's all wrinkled, and that's not for you. So when you go into that dressing room, if that's what you're doing, and you try something on, you got to move around and dance a little bit in and see how it performs and reacts on you. And if it's something really that's very, very, I don't like the word cheap, but inexpensive, and it's not working, then you don't buy it.
Okay, well, here we are. We're now stuck at home, and maybe a lot of us, even in our work situations, are really only seen from the waist up, on video calls and video chat. Yeah. So what do you suggest for style in the age of COVID?
Well, one of the things that I suggest is that you really get to know what part of your body you want to showcase, what part are you most proud of, and also, if you can, stay with the color palette that works best for you. And once you know that, whatever it is that you have on, it works. And the other thing, especially unless you're in the gym every day, if you're a woman who is in that second act, second chapter, midlife, whatever terminology you want to use, you are better off to wear something that covers your arms, because most arms may not be your best asset to show. That's not for everyone. You might be Michelle Obama, and if that's the case, you show those arms off. I'm not. I don't do that exercise every day. But yet, by the same token, make sure that it's neat and that the color works for you and that from the waist up, it shows you in the best light.
Yeah. I know where I come from, we used to call those Hadassah arms.
And now they're wings.
Yes. But no, that's so true. And, talking about changing body style, or changing body shapes, for most of my life, I was a B cup. I was pretty much from, my, adulthood through babies even, I got my figure back and was working all that out and everything. And then, whoa, there comes menopause. And all of a sudden, I explode into a D cup.
Yes.
And how do you adjust for those kinds of changes in your body that come on rapidly like that? I mean, can you still wear the same clothes, or do you have to throw everything?
No. That's why, great way to end, Debbie. That's why I say for those women who are in that second act, second chapter, whatever terminology you want to use, we can't do what we did in our 20s and our 30s and sometimes even the 40s. And the same applies for women who have had babies maybe at an early age in their 20s or 30s. Your body changes and you have to change your image and what you want to project in the same way. And a lot of this goes back to your foundation, your shapewear. And we talk a lot about this, Debbie, in my workshops because it changes. So you can't do the same thing. And shapewear, a lot of the younger generation, they poo-poo it. And they say, oh, no, a bra, yeah, but other things, a shapewear or slips are almost like passé. Yet, you have to be mindful of all of these changes and dress accordingly. That's it.
And I can vouch for that. Shapewear really does make a big difference.
Makes a difference.
It really does. So, Joy, how did you get started in all of this?
Oh, that's a good question. It's one of my favorite questions. Let me tell you, when my parents separated, my sister and I were sent into the deep, deep, deep South. And my grandparents on my mother and father's side were Native American, Indian, big heritage background there. So when we went there, by the way, I was absolutely horrified. I was mad, angry beyond, because I was a daddy's little girl and I was spoiled rotten. But I got there and we were embraced, my sister and I, and we were cuddled and caressed. And it was such a tribal, good community and so involved in the community. And these women were church ladies. And let me tell you, Monday through Friday, Saturday, they would work like demons, sun up to sundown. But Sunday, they would do everything in their best way to dress and get ready to go and praise the Lord. So, dressed to the nines. And I would sit on the sidelines and watch. And it was like a Broadway show. That was the seed in the beginning for my entree into the fashion world and the love for it. But yet, I'm here at this time to say that there are a lot of things that we have to segue away from and move into more sophisticated, elegant, chic dressing, even if we remain casual. But that was my seed.
Oh, great. Well, Joy, we are just about out of time or coming to the end. So I'd like to ask you, how can people find out more about you and your work?
Oh, I hope they will. Listen, I have a brand new website that's up. It's in my name, www.joyruffen with an E, RUFFEN.com. Can go there and everything's on that website. And when you're there, go and get your free complimentary brochure, how you can develop your signature style and stamp it to you. And that will be a complimentary seed beginning for all the things that are optional and possible for you. Yes.
And tell us about your show.
Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies, every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on my Facebook business page, and you're invited. And if you'd like to be a guest, I'd love to see you there. I'm all about empowering women, everything from A to Z, from head to toe, and I would love to see you there as a guest or as a viewer. Either way, you are welcome. And thanks, Debbie. Thanks for being with me here today.
Oh, thank you so much for being on Dream Power Radio. We've been speaking with stylist extraordinaire Joy Ruffen. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector-Weissman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International.